I'm Nina Rodriguez. I'm a police officer. Have been for a good 7 years. In my time in the force, I have seen some pretty fucked up shit, to say the least. Crazed druggies, abusive parents, and even a few calls for help from the suicides. But none of those could ever hope to compare to an emergency call I'd taken last month. I now abhor taking emergency calls, not because of the overworried people calling about every little squeak in their house, the noise complaints, or even the occasional prank call, though those could get pretty annoying. No, the worst thing about taking an emergency call is knowing that I had to sit on the other side of a phone, and no matter how much I hoped or how fast a squad car could get there, had absolutely no power over the situation. The following is, unfortunately, this situation. The day was like any other, monotonous in its predictability. It was a Wednesday night, and the end of my shift was still a ways off. And don't get me wrong, I love being a police officer, but I didn't sign up to be a secretary. I sighed and flipped through the files on my desk, absent-mindedly scanning through the different reports from earlier that day. There was nothing of dire importance, no hit-and-runs, robberies, or violence. Life in the country didn't require as much police attention as, say, any of the major cities. My phone rang on the corner of my desk, waking me from my thoughts. 911, what's your emergency? I said in a monochrome tone. Please, I need your help, a small feminine voice answered. I leaned forward. Yes, what's the emergency, ma'am? I repeated, preparing my pen and pad. There's someone outside my house. He is just standing there, she answered, sounding frightened. This was not an entirely unusual situation. There have been several different cases filed for crazed stalkers. Now, stay calm. Everything is going to be all right, I said in my almost convincing and gentle voice. Then continued with the standard questions. How long has he been standing there, ma'am? I don't know. I just looked out the window a little while ago and he was just standing there. He just appeared there a little while after it got dark. That was about an hour ago. And he hasn't moved an inch or ever stopped looking at me. I stopped writing. This was getting a little strange. A person just standing in one place, never moving or even looking away. Whoever this was, I had a feeling that they could be very dangerous. Okay, ma'am, we'll send an officer. What's your name and street address? Elizabeth Treville, 1465 Wellington Road. With a hum, I wrote down the address and gave it to an officer on standby, and he went on his way there. Okay, ma'am, we're sending a cruiser now. I could hear an audible sigh of relief. In the meantime, I began, can you try to describe the man to me? Do you know him? I asked, identifying the perp and making sure she was safe were the most important things at this time. Well, I definitely don't know him, or anyone with that body type. He is tall, very tall, pale, and skinny, almost emaciated looking. And he's naked, I think? But I think he's too far to tell. Okay, can you see his face? Describe it for me? No, it's too dark to see his face. And I don't know how to describe it, but I know he's definitely looking at me. Has been the whole time he's been here. Are your doors locked? I asked. I think my back door's still unlocked. I'll go lock it real quick. Okay, I'll stay online. I heard her walk around the familiar, resonant click of a deadbolt could be heard. Okay, I'm back. Now everything's locked and he's... She trailed off. What is it, ma'am? I asked. Ma'am? I grew more and more uncomfortable in the silence. The quiet seemed to last forever, until she spoke again in a more hushed tone than before. He's closer now. Before he was just at the edge of my woods, tens of yards away. But now, he's only half that. It's important that you stay calm. Now, can you see any of his features that he is closer? Yeah, it's weird. He is naked, but I cannot see any genitals or hair or, well, any defining features. It's like he's wearing some skin-tight suit. I still cannot really see his face, but I can tell it's deformed in some way. He's still staring at me. It's so unnerving. Okay, ma'am. I am going to need you to find a safe place to lock yourself in case anything goes wrong, I said, as calmly as possible, trying not to scare her any further. Yeah. Okay. My bedroom door has a lock, and so does my bathroom. She trailed off once more, and I could hear a small whimper. Ma'am, is everything all right? He's closer. Her voice was so quiet that if I was not listening so intently, I could have missed it. Ma'am, I asked again. He's so much closer. I just absent-mindedly looked at my bathroom for a second, and then he cleared almost 30 yards from where he was to the house. But at least now I can make out his... Oh, God. Ma'am? My voice came out in a small peep. I was on the edge of my chair. Oh, God, his face. I can see his face. It's pressed up against the window. It's awful. His eyes are so large, like black pool balls bulging out of his head. And he has this smile that goes from ear to ear, or where his ears should be. She let out with a sob. I needed to stop her from getting hysterical over whatever it was on the other side of her window. Ma'am, you're going to need to go to that safe place now, I said, regaining my commanding voice. No reply. Ma'am? Ma'am, help me. Her voice begged through the speaker of the phone and was soon followed by the sound of breaking glass. The phone clattered onto the floor with the clack of hollow plastic. She let out a loud shriek. She said various pleas, begging to be let go, but to no avail. Her screams trailed away, sounding more and more far off, until I could not hear her anymore. Nothing but silence followed, and time seemed to slow to a crawl. I did not know how long I sat there waiting for something, anything. I also did not realize how tightly I was holding it onto the phone. Not until I heard the sirens of a police car and hung up. That was the squad car that I had sent out not 15 minutes ago.